Hello and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns. Today we have a link to the past Randomizer Crosskeys tournament qualification race number 14. Commentator for this one is Wallkicks. Take it from here.
Yo, good morning. I mean, this is fun. I mean, Crosskeys. If you don't know Crosskeys, would recommend playing 10 out of 10. So what this is, for those of you who don't know, as our intro so lovingly said, Crosskeys is a form of entrance shuffle and key sanity. So crossroad entrance shuffle means that you can go into any entrance. You can find maybe an entrance that is like Desert Palace that has multiple exits. You can enter in the light world in one, and you can come out in the dark world in another. And that can actually be required. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this seed acts out. We have two really great runners on Restream today. We have Mystic and Dr. Marty. Both of these runners have already done the required number of races for the qualifiers. You have to play 3 minimum, but a 4th can improve your score. And that's what Dr. Marty is hoping to do. Mystic, on the other hand, is running this one a little bit more just to kind of, work to maybe just improve their own, Crosskeys PB. But just sitting just outside of the top 64 qualifier, actually sitting in 65th. So hopefully Mystic is gonna get a little help and can bump themselves up into top 64. But we're about to start, and so it'll be a lot of fun to see how these runners kind of start off, because there are several different routes that one could take. And with that, I'm just gonna let these runners kind of start, and we'll see how this goes. Alrighty, we're seeing Mystic starting over at the Sanctuary. Gets a key to Turtle Rock. Oh, and our escape sequence or the Sanctuary takes us out to the Kakariko Well, which is a really nice one to have, because it's just having an easy save and quit point to Kakariko, especially if there's a lot here, is just very nice. But nothing so far in our first 2 entrances. Did get a shop, which is nice, but without any rupees, can't really get any bombs. But we do find Ice Rod Cave. And just some money. No big deal there. So what these runners are going to be doing for probably the first 20 minutes or so is they're going to be kind of scouring through all the entrances, looking for item caves, looking for dungeons, trying to, maybe see what they can scrounge around. And there we see our first connector at the Quarreling Brothers house. Need a bomb, obviously, to open that connector, but with the escape sequence being here in Kakariko, this could be a really easy connector if there's something good there. Oh, and we find the Kakariko Well at the Magic Bat location. So that's good knowledge. Something that could be required there, and it only needs a hammer or Titan's Mitts and the mirror to get to. So for Dr. Marty, they were able to pick up a couple bombs on their early route, so they're going to be able to check the back of escape right away. Get some nice, quick 3 items and gets a full magic for their trouble. That's always really good. Oh, and there's the Moon Pearl. An early Moon Pearl is really nice. Saw Mystic pick up the Pyramid Fairy entrance. Nothing important there, but if you get a bottle, you can always throw the bottle in and maybe get lucky with the potion. See our first big key to Swamp Palace and the back of the tavern. The only entrance in the game that is hard going to be always there. It can never not be there, because it's actually the only entrance that you approach from the back. And we also see our first dungeon, the left entrance of Turtle Rock. It's always a little scary when you see that there, because you enter and here's a bunch of eyes about to shoot lasers at you. That's a little frightening. More shops. So this Kakariko not really paying out well a whole lot. Not a whole lot here to really speak of right now. Just the one dungeon. Okay, but still some things to check out. we get D-shaped house. We get ourselves a small GT. Always to get the small GT because you're gonna find GT at some point. We'll all be picking up their moon rollers. So, game is always about clearing out to all runners
sorry to barge in. Walkix, do you hear me okay, or is there some robot going on when I'm speaking? Because I hear you laggy.
I can hear you fine.
Oh.
I had the same issue actually. Yep. You're being a bit robot-y there for a couple minutes, and chat is saying so.
Hope it's fine now.
Alright, if anyone would like to let me know if I am still being a robot. Alright, I just needed to leave and re-enter the call. Alright, so Mystic did find the Lost Wood Thief, which is actually vanilla, and gets bombos out of it. Meanwhile, Dr. Marty considered going into Turtle Rock, but thought better of it. With 3 hearts and no way to really kill anything, probably not a good time to really pop in.
Yeah, and hello everybody. I'm Allison, and I'm gonna be coming in and helping out Walkix a little bit. Didn't want to leave him on the solo comm.
Oh,
And
hey,
managed to
welcome.
free up some time.
Welcome. Always appreciated to get a second.
Looks like though we've got a reasonably nice start. I.e., we don't have a horrid moon pearl sequence.
No, Moon Pearl was just a trick of escape.
That seems illegal, but so nice.
I don't know. They make it work.
I mean, honestly, I kind of love like really terrible moon pearl sequences. They're really, really special. There was a like speed gaming daily like a couple years ago where I think like Drac was the first person in the race to pick up a moon pearl at about the 150 mark.
That's really bad.
It was like comically terrible.
Better seeds are where the Moon Pearl isn't even required.
I've never had that seed. I really want the mythical moon pearl list seed. That would be lovely.
Did see a couple things. So, Aga 1 not going to be required today because the Fairy Cave is what's behind the Lumberjack dropdown, so that's always really nice. And Dr. Marty did find a Hookshot Cave here in South Kakariko, and it's a connector to the Hera entrance, which is Death Mountain access. One of those things.
That's a really nice connector to find. Death Mountain access is probably the best spot that you can find early in the game. Like, it's just so many entrances that are so like it's basically Kakariko 2.0. And so this will be a nice little find for Marty here. I do kind of wonder though if we're gonna see. Well, you said Aghanim's dead. Aghanim's dead for any reason for the actual items from him. But there is still the absurd possibility that you have to do Aga for something along the lines of getting East Dark World access, or my personal favorite, getting it so that you can dispel the barrier around the door in Hyrule Castle.
I mean, if that's required, then I'm glad I'm not racing the seed.
I've seen both of those seeds, and they're both pretty incredible. As we find our first bottle here for Marty, obviously out of sequence behind the lamp, as Marty sees a key on Spectacle Rock.
Oh, good. I love staring at something that I can't reach for 2 hours.
Just find boots and be able to hover. Easy.
You didn't know. You expect me to hover? Silly sir. So I think collectively we've seen all of the drop-downs except for Lumberjack. So I think our Lumberjack drop-down is going to be what's behind Aga 2 today.
I'd say a decent one to have. Obviously, you always kind of hope that it's Trash Fairy, but that's a little bit much to hope for in most cases. On the other hand, if it is Trash Fairy, it means you can leave Ganon's Tower even if you do the climb after Moldorm 2 and you save 3-ish minutes on the climb, which is really nice. Although I personally always prefer to have Ganon just under Aga 2, because just having that certainty and knowing, oh, I have to climb makes my routing and decision making so much easier.
That's true, but then you're also looking for an extra item. And who knows where
That is true.
he is. Dr. Marty, by the way, found Paradox Cave.
Finds that all-important first key to Palace of Darkness. Logically, kind of the breakpoints for the different items in Palace of Darkness are one key unlocks the Bridge and Stalfos chest, no keys are needed for the Mimic chest if you can logically get there, and the Shooter Room, as Marty finds the Ice Rod in Paradox Cave, as well as a GT Small Key for GT Small Key number 2. And then the Dark Basement items are locked by 4 small keys to pod, and then 6 are locked by the sort of terminal thing, so Helmasaur, Dark Maze, things like that. As Dr. Marty is going to take a death here in Paradox Cave, but does manage to at least get all of the items before he dies. Ice Rod, not really a great weapon for Moldorm killing.
I mean, hopefully he puts it to use. Our old man leading us out to the Hype Cave entrance. So a nice Dark World connector.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice place to start in the Dark World, because now you just have South Dark World access. And if you find a bow and are comfortable with Splash Deletion, you just have East Dark World access as well. Or, as I found out in Andy's stream yesterday, if you have the red boomerang, which I knew you could Splash Delete with, but you can actually do it to get to East Dark World from South Dark World, but you have to, like, off-center the camera and do a bunch of crazy stuff to actually get a point where you can clang the boomerang.
Sounds like nothing I'd be interested in doing.
Sounds pretty awful, yeah. But Dr. Marty does find Ganon's Tower here, and is not going to be able to do very much with it. Gets a big key to Skull Woods, which I guess you're always happy to see early. And he is going to check the item here on the torch, and that will be kind of the end of this adventure.
Always important to check that item on the torch, because it could be the hammer, and you're like, well, I don't want to come back to GT until I have the hammer. But then your hammer is just sitting right there the whole time.
Yep,
that hasn't happened before.
Oh, definitely has never happened to me. Same, absolutely. As Mystic is now rescuing the old man and is going to find himself in a very, very similar position to Marty here.
I wonder, you were talking about doing Splash Deletion to kind of get to East Dark World, and doing Splash Deletion actually isn't hard, but when you're in Fake Flipper trying to get past some of those enemies, that's really difficult.
Yep, that's is Mystic's gonna take a death here right before you would have found Paradox Cave. That's a little unlucky there. Dead rocks at 3 hearts and no weapons can always be a little bit difficult to get to, as Mystic finally opens the chest in Link's house. Fun fact, that is not the latest anyone has opened the chest in Link's house in these qualifiers, as yours truly managed to walk straight past a glove in Link's house for 45 minutes in a qualifier.
Yes.
I did not feel smart afterwards. As Mystic is going to get bailed out here by finding another entrance into Paradox Cave. Although, is having some issues getting bullied here by the mini Moldorms. It sounds like Wallkicks may be roboting again a little bit. So he's probably going to rejoin the call, I would guess. And Mystic is hopefully going to be able to get these items out of Paradox Cave.
Pepe hands.
Feels bad. Well, at least he knows where Paradox Cave is. But unfortunately, that's a little bit of a rough one without a weapon. Especially if you're not particularly used to the movement patterns of the Moldorms. They can be a little bit intimidating, especially early on. But he is going to spit out here at the old man spot. And he's going to head down to check Swamp Palace here. I do agree, by the way, that the hardest part with fake flippering in the Dark World is not getting your life ended by zeros. Those are pretty horrid enemies. And most of the time, if you sort of set up the whirlpool right, you can get through before they have a chance to hit you. But sometimes they just decide they want to come for you and you are dead. For those of you who don't know, when you are in a fake flipper state, you are basically in Oko state, because in the original game, anytime you take damage in water, it tries to spit you out to where you jumped into the water. But if that's on a different screen, it hard locks the game and will sit there infinitely scrolling.
And that's never fun.
No. And so, as a band-aid fix to this, the randomizer will literally just kill you. And you know what? As somebody who has lost 5 crystals before due to accidentally mirror wrapping, I do actually appreciate that that's a better alternative than soft locking. Or hard locking, in this case.
I think I've lost 6 crystals one time for mirror wrapping. It was not good.
I was racing Lynn in a internal tournament match, and I was literally 4 crystals ahead of him, and I mirror wrapped.
Oh no.
To be fair, he was really tired when racing and walked straight by the Skullwood's big chest, which had the bow in it.
Oh,
Which locked the entire seed.
Yep, that's always unfortunate.
That ended up being a rare double forfeit. Because I just, like, after 5 crystals, I'm like, nope, I'm done. And he was equally done at falling asleep at his desk. But we're going to see Stumpy here from Mystic. And we'll probably continue to do Dig Game, as Stumpy is going to have the small key to Hyrule Castle, which Marty has obviously already picked up. Not particularly necessary in a seed where Sanctuary is in a decent spot. However, remains very, very useful, or logically remains very, very useful, because it does put the second 2 items in Escape in logic.
I noticed Marty picked up big keys to Swamp and Desert. Did not see where those were.
I missed the Swamp big key. Do you mean Swamp or Skull Woods?
Swamp, because Mystic also appears to have it marked.
I was say, I think he had Swamp before I came in. The Desert big key was in Paradox Cave.
Okay.
Gotta love digging up those 20 rupees. Digging game always pays out and always feels massively rewarding to do, except, you know, when it doesn't. That's what I get for coming in 4 minutes late to the seed. Because I was trying to close off some stuff at work before I came in.
I even wrote that down.
I seem to remember the first thing I heard on the call was that we find the Swamp big key, so I was a little bit surprised.
I wrote that down and everything. Don't mind me. This is why it's hard to comment track these Crosskey races.
Yeah, there is a lot going on in these races, and if you blink, you can lose lots of stuff. Usually, if I'm planning on coming and don't come in sort of in the last minute, I'll have like my entrance trackers running and have everything going so I can just like basically track it as if I'm racing it myself. Unfortunately, that's not the case here, so I'm just going to be doing my best from the good old noggin, which if you've ever watched my streams, I have to warn you is not super reliable. I've got goldfish memory.
So you're probably going to do a better job than me, and I have trackers going. Alright, so 18.5 minutes of running around. Both of our runners are in the exact same place.
Yep, except for
Palace.
Mystic taking that death in Paradox Cave. They're also even item even. Unfortunately, though, that Desert Palace Big Key might feel pretty bad if Mystic ends up walking through desert without it, especially if it happens to have anything, which I wouldn't be surprised by.
Oh.
Speaking of the commentator's curse!
Hey look, it's desert! Who would have known?
Who let this monster on comms to do this to our runners?
I mean, I'm sure
Marty
Marty's
is
okay
actually-
with it.
Marty is checking the right side. Do we already know that Desert and Swamp are pendants?
I don't think we've seen a map check at all.
Okay. But there is the hook shot in the map chest, so even without that big key, Mystic's gonna feel pretty good about this play.
Rather than checking any connector, he's just gonna walk out and continue on this path.
I mean, I'd feel pretty good about that hookshot, especially given that I know where Hookshot Cave is. That Hookshot Cave lets out onto Death Mountain, and then I can check the East Dark World or East Death Mountain things. God, you infected me.
There's a lot that can be done with that hookshot for sure.
As that Desert Palace Big Chest is a bow.
That is a big prize for Dr. Marty.
That's a rough blow for Mystic. Although, thankfully, the bow ends up not locking all that much in the game. Especially if you're not super comfortable with Splash Deletion and similar things, where the bow enables a couple of extra glitches by filling up the Ancilla buffer. And if it sounded to you like I just said words, just think the word programming really hard and everything will make sense. The Desert Palace Big Key is in the back of Paradox Cave, which Mystic should be about to grab now that he has Hookshot. He took a death from the Moldorms here. The Ice Rod is also here.
Yeah, having 3 hearts, this early in the seed, obviously, you find a thing like Paradox Cave, it can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, mini Moldor movement is one of the more frustratingly unpredictable things to deal with in the game, especially if you don't have a ton of hours logged and just sort of have a good natural feel on how they're going to move. But Mystic is going to equalize himself with Dr. Marty here. Except for that bow in Desert Palace, which we will see if Mystic ends up going back to. The one nice thing is Mystic ended up not checking any of those connectors, so he does have a decent reason to go back. And we'll get our first look at Hookshot Cave here, before I assume Dr. Marty is going to turn and head to East Death Mountain. And it is the all-important second key to Palace of Darkness. So I mentioned that the breakpoints for Pod are 0, 1, 4, 6 on the keys, but in terms of realistic things, the second key does get you into the back of Palace of Darkness if you use your keys normally, as that door does in fact stay bombed. Marty?
You mean you don't use your second key to open the vanilla big key chest?
I'd be lying if I said I've never done it.
But
you really shouldn't.
Realistically, you want to go to the back.
And that does, if you're comfortable with all the sequence break, gives you access to 5 more items with just that one extra key. As Marty is now going to check the connectors out of Paradox Cave. which I'm a little surprised by. I would have expected him to take the hookshot across to East Death Mountain instead, but
Yeah, I definitely would have thought.
not like it will matter, because he will probably just do a 180 here, and, well, we'll see if he actually does the drop-down entrance, or if he heads to Death Mountain. At least he knows there's a very, very easy way to Death Mountain now. Through Paradox Cave, and it looks like he is checking the drop-down exit of Paradox Cave, which, if you don't have a mirror, is a one-way trip. Unless, of course, this spits you out on Bumper Cave, which has the mirror. But that is East Dark World access. Deku Dragon, the Link to the Past randomizer supports lots of different custom sprites that you can use, and one of them is Zelda. These are actually two of the more vanilla sprites that you will see in the game. I, for one, usually use Marisa Kasame from the Toho games, which I have never played, just because I really like the sprite, and she winks when she uses the hookshot, and that's just cute.
You know, that's a good reason. I play as Phoenix Wright because I'm a big fan of the Ace Attorney series.
I have an objection with that, but sure, why not?
Are you objecting to me being a fan of the series? How dare you, good sir?
I demand satisfaction!
Got a small key to Desert Palace on the pyramid.
That's a really nice. That's probably the second best small key in the game, assuming you don't have to kill Aga behind Swamp. Gets you 2 items. Also worth noting that we now have everything but fire in order to kill Moldorm now. Since I do believe Moldorm is in logic with just the ice, or Lanmo is just in logic with just the ice rod, right?
I would believe so. I mean, we also have a bow.
Oh yeah, we do have a bow. Yeah, okay. Well, that's 100% Lanmo in logic. Which is a little bit suspicious this early. Of course, I usually find that every time I'm suspicious specifically about Lanmo, he has nothing.
I'd be more surprised if Desert was a pendant at this point. It doesn't mean it can't happen. With how much we have, like, we can logically clear out Desert. Oh, hello, Ice Palace. This is exactly what I wanted to find.
Gotta love finding Ice Palace early, knowing that Bombos is just sitting there in your inventory, as you get to sit there with that awful decision for the entirety of the game.
Can't do anything yet, though, Marty. Don't have a sword.
GV, I did say you needed a fire source for Lanmo. I said you are a fire source away from Lanmo being in logic.
I don't think.
But then went on to determine how you would be able to kill him, which the ice rod does let you do, just as effectively as the fire rod. Probably the second most common room for people to use the ice rod is Lanmo's room.
I got a quick map check from Marty. Only had Pod, which is a pendant today.
You hate to see that one. Helmasaur, one of the worst bosses to have to do. To have an item. But that Hyrule Castle key that we said put some things in logic, put something very, very important in logic. As that mirror is sitting there completely in logic. In my opinion, the absolute best item in the game.
I definitely agree. One of the best items that you can find in Crosskeys because it can make routing so much easier.
Yeah, if you sort of route intelligently, you can basically clear the world in half the time with the mirror. And I think one of the sort of hallmarks of a veteran Crosskeys player is just how they use that mirror to route. And I just happen to think that you can do a lot of really, really cool things with it as well. Plus, it means you don't have to Death Warp. As it looks like Mystic is either going to go for the Dark Cross chest. Yeah, it's going to be a play towards Dark Cross.
The hookshot, this isn't bad.
No, not at all. Did he come in from the Dark World or the Light World?
I
feel like this was in the Dark World. Oh, this was okay. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, this
Dr.
this
Marty
is
was the one who was in the. Oh, that's right. Okay, never mind. So there's a couple of enemies in the game that are the same enemy. They just have different sprites in the Light World and Dark World, and also have different stats in the Light World and Dark World. Probably the most prominent of those being those crickets in the back of Thieves' Town, which will annihilate your health bar in green mail. But the problem is, the ropes here, or the rats in the back of here, share the enemy pool with that dude, so that if you come in from the Dark World, those things will knock off your health bar real fast, and can make it a lot harder to do the Dark Room here. As I think Mystic is... Yep, he just took to the chest, but he got hit there. But does finish it and is full cleared out of Hyrule Castle now. For those of you who are trying to do that sequence break, my favorite way of getting into that chest is you kind of find yourself on the bottom right torch on the right side, and just land above it, walk straight up until you can't go anymore, and then walk straight to the left and you'll be on the right side of the chest, and you can just kind of loop around. It's a really nice little way to set up that chest. As the Desert Palace small key is meaningless, just like our existence in 2020 behind COVID-19. But I guess maps don't suck.
Alright, so somewhere along the line. Alright, so that's where Mystic found the way to the Dark World shopping mall, as it's so named.
Has he been to Light World shopping mall already?
No. I don't think anyone
I'm
has,
surprised
actually.
he didn't mirror there and check those two while he was there then. But he also did just pick up the mirror, so it probably wasn't in his head as much on, oh, this is a thing I can route. But is going to be able to route in the Dark World of West Death Mountain, and immediately fall into the very, very bifurcated connector, which from one direction is terrible and from one direction is very fast. Or as I call it, the 5 connector, because that's the number I use to mark it on my tracker. Speaking of 5, that is the number of items that Mystic will be finding in this blind hut that he just discovered.
One of which is the hammer.
Oh, it feels so good. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of proud of that segue. It's a terrible segue. But the hammer, another really, really nice item to have in entrance. As we also have the big key to Thieves' Town. So we are one item away from putting the entirety of Thieves' Town in logic when it's found. Unfortunately, that one item can be an item that gets ignored a lot by runners in the Thieves' Town small key, and can really burn you if you go into Thieves' Town without it.
Yeah, I pretty much ignore it 100% of the time.
I can think of a qualifier we had that you would have hated.
I know, and I wasn't running it.
Lucky you. Alright, and Mystic is going to head through Spiral Cave. I would have liked to see Mystic mirror into the middle drop down in Death Mountain there, since it usually requires the mitts to get there, but if you have Dark Death Mountain access, you can mirror directly there instead. And he would have been able to get another check that he hasn't been able to do out of the way. Meanwhile, Dr. Marty following another connector, as Spiral Cave ends up being exactly what it is all the time, completely useless. And it looks like...
useless right now. Doesn't mean it's useless later.
I guess it is useful for knowing what's in the back of Skullwoods? Question mark? As we do not have the terrible layout of Skullwoods that locks you out, so he is going to be able to make it back to the front from here.
Oh, you can't freeze Gyptos.
I kind of like super love what happens when you freeze an enemy and hit them with the hammer. Like, it's just real great. As Marty here is on his way to pick up his mirror.
Unfortunately, Mystic is going to have to refreeze those Gyptos. As the Wallmaster has decided that, you know what?
Well, he's trying to do it without actually hitting them, which you can do. It's a little bit annoying, but it's one of those things that you can get. Ooh, as Unfortunately, he continues to not be the master of his own floor.
Meanwhile, some of these Gibdos are cheating and just walking right through that ice rod.
One Gibdo should be a little bit easier to track at least, as Mystic can be nice and safe here, and that should lock out the Gibdo here. So, absent something terrible happening like this...
Yep.
He does have a blue potion. No. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, he does make it through. Yep, so sometimes that Gibdo will just be standing there, and there's not really anything you can do about it. So, good on Mystic to remember the potion he had there and not have to do this sequence again.
It does feel a little bit bad to have to use that blue potion that early, though.
It's not a great feeling. See, I mean, I play inverted keys a decent amount, and so that is literally my opening check, is that room. So I'm very, very used to pulling that thing without any weapons that you can do anything with, but it's still pretty tragic to do. As Marty is now heading into his dark crossplay. And we will see, I would guess, the entirety of the front of Skullwoods here. No real risk in using this key.
No, because in Crosskeys, and I think in pretty much any entrance randomizer, the bumper chest is always a small key to Skullwoods.
Yep, and I gotta be honest, I think the game is just better with a small key in that chest all the time.
Agreed.
It makes routing this dungeon so much less terrible.
Even in non-entrance, when that small key isn't guaranteed, it's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to probably save and quit if I want to hold on to that key.
And he does find some water toes there in the compass chest of Skullwoods.
Nice.
And he's going to hope really hard not to die here. Alright, and gets his refund on his small key and is heading out. Flippers being a very, very nice item to have, makes a lot of things routing a lot more easy. There's also some fun little routing combinations you can do with the whirlpools in entrance mode that you don't see, as we now see that Ice Palace is a crystal coming from Mystic. Just a plain old boring blue crystal.
So nothing's gonna be there, right? There's not gonna be anything in Ice Palace.
Depends. We're gonna find a glove early? If we find a glove early, no, there's nothing in Ice Palace.
I'm always super hesitant when I find Ice Palace early and I'm like, oh, I can get like the first chest. That's always something. But we do find Hype Cave.
I'm hesitant to do anything in Ice Palace without a Cane of Samaria. Feels miserable to do Ice Palace normally at this point. And really without an Ice Palace big key too, because I really hate orphaning that chest. You might notice at this point that Wallkicks and I have slightly different styles in the way that we route this mode.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, going without the Thieves Town small key, what's the worst that can happen?
Look, if that's where my progression is going to be, you know, I'll take the loss the 2% of the time it's there.
Yeah, it's understandable. Although on that key itself, as Marty is picking up his hammer right here, you'll also, one of the things that I think is particularly notable about it is that it makes the stuff in logic in the basement from 1 to 3 even without the hammer. Hey,
Right.
Didn't you say you'd be surprised if Desert Palace wasn't a crystal?
You know, I did say that, so...
I bet you feel pretty foolish right now.
I mean, I'm still gonna do it if I find the back. Hey, look, there's a sword.
Oh, 100%. And there's the big key of Eastern Palace.
There's also another pod small key, I think that was back there.
Yep. I will say, if there is a fire source sitting around in Logic, that does make that green pendant check a little bit suspicious. Because now Lanmo has 2 items behind him instead of just the 1.
Yep.
I guess 3 if you really want to start thinking about the pedestal, although
That's...
I almost never think about the... Like, unless I have the book as I'm right there, I never think about pedestal and Crosskeys. Like, if I pull pedestal, I'm blind pulling it 95% of the time in these. Because I've just done every single pendant dungeon.
Oh, there's a
Mystic
glove.
finds the first glove, so getting spit out here in the North Dark World has been very, very kind to Mystic. Got him a glove, got him flippers, got him sword.
Marty finds our other glove in the Kakariko Well. Which that drop down is that magic bat, which is open for Mystic. It has been open for Mystic for a while now.
Both of our runners here deciding not to skip arm day and instead deciding leg day is not that important. As we find the bomb shop, and we're going to find out the red crystals are in Thieves Town and Eastern Palace. So Eastern Palace is nice news, especially since if Dr. Marty finds that big key before he finds Eastern Palace, he will just be able to go straight there and beat the dungeon.
That's the best, because there's never anything in Eastern Palace. Except
I don't think I've
qualifiers.
ever made the correct decision on whether to go to Eastern Palace or not. I don't think it's possible to make the correct decision. If you skip it, everything's there. I hate that stupid dungeon so much in this mode.
Eastern Palace is bad. One other thing to note that Marty did do a map check at one point. Tower of Hera is another crystal. So slowly we're getting some crystal information.
So, and we do have the weird big key to the Tower of Hera, the one that you shoot out and sends you places.
So like Skyward Sword, where you have all those weird looking big keys.
Exactly. It's a very, very weird looking big key. Link to the Past really started the trend. I don't know why they put a normal big key in for Tower of Hera when you clearly don't need it.
I mean, you do need it for a chest, but I mean, since we're talking about skipping chests, that's another one. It just who cares if there's anything there?
Exactly. That one even I don't care if there's anything there. And Mystic can route this together with the Zora area would be nice, especially getting rewarded with that fire rod. Mystic is cutting himself a very nice route in this seed.
That's a really nice item to find.
Although
I
I'm getting...
was almost hoping that was the Bacca Desert.
that would have been really nice, because you can just kill Lanma now.
Please be careful. We're sitting on one heart. I don't like this.
My monk asses are definitely intensifying right now. We're about one near hit from a fireball away from a Monk Omega, as we see 10 bombs there. Meanwhile, Marty is just kind of following in Mystic's footsteps right now, and is about to pick up his flipper, and is probably going to pick up the second glove as well while he's in the process.
Assuming he follows the North Village of Outcast route as opposed to going to Village of Outcast.
That is true. But there's a good chance he... I mean, there's a reasonable chance he does both.
Right. Considering we know where an easy way to the South Dark World is, so it would make sense to maybe do Village of Outcast and kind of work your way north.
And speaking of things nobody cares about, there is a Skullwood's Big Key, which is in fact logically required to defeat Mothula. And I'm not sure I have ever had all the Skullwood Small Keys when I defeat Mothula, because I don't care.
No one does.
And Marty going
I mean, if
for
you're really that hard on your logic, but who's that concerned about logic in Crosskeys?
I mean, I'm concerned about it insofar as I can read the logic to sort of get better ideas of where items are. I don't care about actually sequence breaking things, but I like tracking logic because of that. As Mystic is about to hit his final form of lifting. Zelda lays there in the well doing several bench press repetitions and finds she is much stronger.
I feel like my tracking's been bad.
So has mine been. As Marty does head down towards Villager Outcasts.
Oh.
And he finds Skull Woods, which I suspect Mystic will be relatively happy to find.
This is convenient, considering it's right by Skull Woods.
Mystic once again making that trek to East Death Mountain, probably. I would not be surprised here to see him head to the sort of northeast Light World Death Mountain, check Turtle Rock medallions, check the entrances up there since he has gloves now as well, or mitts now as well.
Yep, mitts and mirror, you can get a lot of entrances up there.
Yep, and those are some of the nastier entrances to get to in the game, but you have a pretty efficient point to route them in altogether at this point.
I also check our GT entry request. Oh wait, this isn't mystery.
Yeah, I suspect the GT entry requirement is going to be 7 crystals. Crosskeys is a very bad mystery mode that way.
I mean, you just roll mystery and get Crosskeys anyway.
I wish. Are you kidding? I literally never get any form of entrance in my mystery ladder races. It's the worst.
Literally all I get are
Because
entrances.
half the time my opponent will just give up when they see, oh no! Alright, and the first item is the big key to Pod. Ooh, and there's Mystic finding that unfortunate Eastern Palace.
Maybe he'll get bailed out, and there's going to be a bow in here.
Maybe. Do you really think the game is that kind?
It was for me in my last Crosskeys, see, not the qualifier, but my ladder Crosskeys. That didn't stop me from losing by 25 minutes, but I got bailed out.
Yep. Goomba told me about that scene. It sounded pretty cloudy.
Don't worry about it.
When you finish the seed and you see your opponent is climbing GT when you never did that, you know they are going to have a rough ride.
And then you find the Swamp Small key up there, and you're like, oh, I'm doing great. Clearly, my big key that I need is going to be in Swamp Palace. Pen. No. So our runner's now kind of doing some new checks.
Yeah, we're starting to see some pretty heavy divergence at this point. I mean, one of the things I enjoy about Crosskeys races is that you get so much divergence between the runners. As Mystic is going to get his sad news that going to Eastern Palace without a bow was not the play. I'm just assuming.
I don't know. I think there's going to be a vanilla bow. Ready? Here we go. And 3, 2, okay, well.
That's a really weird vanilla bow.
I tried.
Marty, on the other hand, is taking his Tower of Hera big key to Tower of Hera.
Eastern Palace was at the back of Sahasrahla. Was in Sahasrahla's hut, but without a bow, Mystic is not going to be able to finish.
I think you're in the right spot, Marty. Oh, maybe he uses it. He's using a different. As I know, yeah, he's just using a different setup than the one I use. There's a couple of nice visual cues for my setup that I like a lot. And unbelievably, going into Eastern Palace without a bow was not the play. I know, I'm as shocked as anybody here.
I mean, there was nothing in Eastern Palace? Oh my goodness.
Incredible.
No one predicted that. our bomb shop is today. I wonder what we need for it to be in logic. I mean, obviously we need the 5-6 crystals, Eastern and Thieves, but
to put it
actually
in
bomb
logic,
here
are going
because
to need. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say because it's at Graveyard Ledge, so.
I mean, I think there's nothing about actually getting to it that is going to be difficult logically.
No, I think it's just
because you can just get spatted at Graveyard Ledge and go to Dark World as long as you have a Glove, Moon, Pearl, and Hammer, which all of our runners do.
Right.
The only thing logically missing at this point would be the Lamp and the Thieves Town Small Key to actually put that fully in logic. Big Bomb being probably the worst entrance spot in the game, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Since the bomb shop can be in some terrible places. As the Chicken Hut has that weird big key to Tower of Hera that we've been talking about.
It's the one that lets you open a chest.
Weird. It also unlocks the DLC rooms.
What?
Yeah, those like weird DLC rooms in Tower of Hera, like the 3 beetle with the switch. They put those in later.
Oh man, I forgot about those rooms. No one ever checks those.
Mystic is going to get these last 2 entrances here as we find the dam, which is 100% going to be required if Swamp Palace is a crystal. And even if it's not, it's a nice entrance to find since it locks the entirety of Swamp Palace.
Ooh, a little mini Molten Cave.
Always a nice cave to find, unless you don't have a Moon Pearl or in the Dark World and do not have a Master Sword. As this is one of the relatively few item caves that you absolutely cannot Super Bunny under any circumstances, unless you have a Master Sword. Because walking near the edges of those pits there, which you must do to kill the Moldorms with a Fighter Sword, will take you out of Super Bunny state. And Mini Moldorm Cave was about as good as my explanation of how you can Super Bunny Mini Moldorm Cave.
Your explanation was good. There's nothing wrong with that. It just Mini Moldorm Cave wasn't good.
I mean, the only thing wrong with that is that it was a giant load of who cares. It's just me flexing on some Crosskeys knowledge.
Yeah, having these kind of Crosskeys knowledge is what separates, the top runners from the lower tier runners, such as myself.
I think you're sitting there a lot of qualifiers or a lot of slots ahead of me right now. I was saying Marty making probably the best play that he can make here with his current loadout. Although it is notable that nothing past Stalfos Room is in logic with only 2 keys to GT. One of the major differences I would say between Entrance Randomizer and normal Randomizer, logically speaking, is that normal Randomizer has sort of what we'll call conditional logic, where normally the Pod Dark Maze, as Marty's going to find his first sword in Stalfos Room, so that's now 2 that we can account for. So normally Pod Dark Maze, as the Canis of Maria, is also there. Lovely item. And there's the bow for Mystic. Feels bad.
Big key to Turtle Rock as well.
But Dark Maze normally requires 6 small keys to get to. However, if something in Dark Maze locks the bow or the bow is there, it can only require 5 small keys. This is not the case in Entrance. In Entrance, those requirements are absolutely hard and fast. And there is nothing that can happen that will cause you to lock like that. Which I tend to prefer because I think it makes the game a little bit easier to reason about. Meanwhile, Marty's going to sort of head down to the left side of GT, this Fire Snake chest being locked by 3 small keys to get in the tower, and Rando Room being locked by 4. And in a weird quirk, the stuff after Rando Room is only locked by 3 small keys.
I don't understand that at all. But I'm not the one who writes the code or the logic for this game.
Well,
so that was
the
Marty's
reasoning
last
behind it
bomb.
is because in order to lock yourself out of random room, you can still lock yourself out of random room with 3 small keys by going all the way down the right side, but you actually can't lock yourself out of Ice Armos with 3 small keys.
Gotcha. Well, we get our third sword, second in GT.
Yeah, GT is definitely going to make Marty feel pretty okay about his gear situation. And yeah, I actually think the key logic in entrance is really worth learning, because I think you can get a lot of information from just reasoning about what the game has thrown at you. I'm already going to be orphaning this GT big chest here, as I believe that it's a 100% vanilla Queen of Fairies.
Didn't see where.
Oh,
yep, it
no.
is. Oh, Marty.
Oh, that's a feels bad moment.
Discovered a problem.
We'll see if he has a map of the floor anywhere. I have one saved just for the race that I lost because I didn't know this. So I'm a little surprised he's not going after these beetles. Maybe he's trapped the prize packs a little bit better than I have, but one of those could easily just have a bomb for him. The stun prize being 20 rupees, so will not be helpful in this case. I suspect that Marty is consulting a map here.
I mean, he's going fine, but he's also going the wrong way. He's just working his way back to entrance. He's working his way the wrong way.
I don't know this path. If I ever have to do it,
I couldn't tell you. I can tell you how it works.
I can tell you that if you have ether, you can light it up, and if you have a fire rod, you can light it up. Unfortunately, having neither of those, you cannot. Meanwhile, Mystic, if he actually goes to GT here, which he could because he's right here, is going to be able to full clear the basement except for that big chest. And that looks like is where he's heading. Because he'll pick up the Cane of Samaria and then can immediately turn around and go to the right side. Well, not immediately. He will probably want to finish the left side.
Yeah, I imagine so. The left side full clear, and then just mirror right. All right, Marty's making progress.
Ooh.
Just kidding. Feels bad.
For those of you who are computer science students who have always wanted to understand what a natural selection algorithm looks like in process, it's kind of like this. He's learning. Is the left from here? Is it just left from here? No, you gotta go down.
There's a little down. He's got it.
He did it!
Nicely done.
Oh, and thankfully there's a bomb here.
I was just saying, yeah, no. I was like, thank God, there's that bomb.
Wastes no time with the anti-fair, just says, nope, putting it down. Still probably a little bit of a feels bad for Marty, but at least he manages to make it through here.
Overall, a nice Ice Armos fight.
Yeah. And it does pick up the magic powder for his reward, but not really anything else. We'll see if Magic Bat has anything to make that really worthwhile. Let's see if Marty's going to make the play. Yep, he is going to make the play to Tile Room. As much as you can sort of turn up your nose and be like, Tile Room's a last resort. Not so true in Crosskeys. You walk around so much in this mode that you just kind of generally do what you can when you can.
Yeah, this is, in normal open or standard modes, everyone's like, oh, we'll save Crosskeys for last, just put the GT big keys in there. Can't do that in Crosskeys.
I agree, most people do save Crosskeys for last.
Yeah, whatever, Tile Room. I will say I did do Crosskeys before I did an Insanity Shuffle. So I did not save Crosskeys for last.
Insanity Shuffle is admittedly just kind of bad.
It's not terrible.
It is. Insanity Shuffle is for people who played the game and said, you know what I would like? Saving and quitting more often.
If you say so.
As Mystic is going to display what can happen when you have a bomb here. And make slightly better time across this than Marty did.
Well, with Swamp Palace being so easily accessible, this first chest is only a couple seconds to check. So we have knowledge of 4 crystals and 2 pendants. And I think collectively we've got a lot of stuff. Still no Turtle Rock. Oh no, wait, still no Meyer Big Key. I was gonna say we have the Turtle Rock Big Key, we don't have the Meyer Big Key yet. And no Ganon's Tower Big Key, but we have all the other big keys accounted for. Oh, there's a map check. And Turtle Rock is a crystal.
On the plus side, when we find Laser Bridge, we can just beat Turtle Rock at this point. Well, if you're Mystic. If you're Marty, you have to see a man about a fish first.
Also, Mystic did not go full right in GT.
It's a little surprising, actually. I would have expected him to go through to the compass room at least. Well, I mean, that's where you would stop, of course. But...
you can't really do much after that unless you find a vanilla, or unless you find a GT Big Key in GT. So we're at the 1 hour mark. I'm gonna give a shout out to both these winners, Dr. Marty and Mystic. Give them a follow if you haven't. Both of them are really, really good runners. And while you're at it, give my co-commentator a follow, because he's clearly far more knowledgeable than I am.
But yet, far worse at the game. A curious paradox. Oh no! No! Mystic! It's not gonna work!
Did he pick up?
He did not pick up the Moldorm item. So Mystic is in the correct spot for the bomb jump. Oh, okay. He didn't get subpixeled. But one of the reasons you can get subpixeled here...
Up the item is what causes the pixel issue?
If you pick up the item... I thought you actually had to pick up the item if it dropped at all. But if you pick up the item when it's the air, you will get subpixeled. And you have to reload the entire room.
Yeah, I think it's just as long as you don't pick it up while it's in the air, you're fine. You don't have to pick it up at all. Man, I just called you knowledgeable.
Oh, and then I showed an astounding lack of knowledge by not knowing exactly what situations the Harapot subpixel causes the clip to fail.
You're still
honestly at this point, my entire life is a lie.
Oh, at the hands. Marty in Ice Palace does have the big key, so is going to full clear this, although it doesn't have a small key, which we've seen both of them, so I think Mystic has both of them.
I'll say Mystic doing a pretty nice little hookshot clip to make sure that Moldorm passes through him and that he's in the spot to actually get through, as we're now going to see the icebreaker, where we will see Dr. Marty minorly walk through a wall. Seems minor to me.
Yeah, because anyone can walk through a wall.
That's how I got breakfast this morning. I'm just kidding, I don't eat breakfast.
Please elaborate further. I did pick up the 4th Palace of Darkness small key.
One little small nit on Marty's route here is I do believe that as long as you have the big key in all circumstances, it's actually faster to not hit the switch and just go to iced tea room the vanilla way. But it's going to be a relatively small difference since he's coming in here with 0 keys anyway.
I think. I mean, it depends on how you route iced tea.
Well, it's certainly slower if you route iced tea this way. But yeah, if you don't hit the switch, then you can route iced tea this way. And these pegs will be in the correct position. He may actually just be skipping iced tea, in which case everything I say is meaningless. Nope, he's going to iced tea from here. So if you're going to route it like this, you need to bomb jump across to iced tea, or you need to drop down to iced tea and bomb jump down, but you can't do that with 0 small keys anyway.
Right. And
so instead what you can do is come here, grab this key, which will let you unlock the door to the back of the dungeon. Shout out to Wolfie, by the way, who actually timed these routes to make it clear which one's faster.
Yeah. So from here, once you pick up this chest and iced tea, you would literally just kind of take the same route backwards.
Yep, you just double back. And especially with the hookshot, it's super fast to do. So we get more keys to Dark Palace. I would say, with the hookshot, it's basically the same speed to do this as the other way. In fact, it may actually be a little bit faster.
On the other hand, does find the backup desert with a friend in tow.
However, as we're going to drop some more knowledge on you, not actually a problem here for Mystic. He will keep the Smith after beating Desert Palace because there are basically there's basically three circumstances where you lose the Smith, and almost all of them relate to grabbing a new follower. The first one is if you beat a crystal dungeon. Don't ask me why that gets coded as a follower, but I'm just going to yell the word programming again and shake my hands. The other two that are probably most common are if you enter the Old Man Cave at all, you lose the Smith. And also, if you enter the downstairs area of Thieves Town, the Smith leaves you as well. However, as we know Desert Palace is a pendant, the Froggy will stay. And be witness to a worm barbecue. That is organically sourced bug, everybody. You cannot find this in stores. And we will see if Sahasrara does in fact have anything. Meanwhile, Marty's going to feel sad about not having the Fire Rod, because that's going to slow down this fight somewhat substantially with Master Sword. Hammer may be a little bit faster, but Master Sword a lot safer.
Gets it done, no problem, and gets the boost.
And I don't think Marty's going to feel bad about this play.
Nope. The second straight qualifier boots have been in Ice Palace.
What a unique and different item placement.
Although you were a lot better equipped this time than you were in the qualifier yesterday.
Yeah, that one looked like a pretty unfun qualifier to play in.
You know, having 5 hearts an hour and a half in, which is gross.
I mean, I played an Ocarina of Time co-op seed the other day, practicing for the tournament there, where I ended with 4 hearts. So, always lovely to get one shot by the final boss, and also the Knuckles, on the way to the final boss.
That's frightening.
Yeah, it was a little bit nasty when I haven't really played in a month, and so my execution is terrible. But we are going to see a walkthrough of Super Bunny Cave here, I believe.
Mystic was thinking about it. Looks like they're going to go forward with it, though.
That's alright. My teammate had like 9 hearts and double defense. It was very fair.
And I'm pretty sure you found all the hearts for them.
No, because then I would have had them for myself.
Oh yeah.
Alright, as Super Money Cave's a little underwhelming there, just kind of bottle. But Frog is having the time of his life, and that is not underwhelming, getting spit out a Bumper Cave. One of the highest prize locations to get spit out to. No, unless it just has a heart piece on it. Marty, unfortunately, is going to keep dodging this fire rod and also these mitts. Although, to be fair, at least, I don't think there's anything actually important in the Turtle Rock entrance.
No, that was just Checkerboard Cave, which had a boomerang. But does find
No.
Eastern and...
No, don't do it! Yes! He resisted!
Ooh.
He's going to come back before he jumps down, isn't he?
He's gonna come back, I think, but yeah.
He passed the first. We'll check. The fire rod is on a specific fish, but not the one that you have to pay 500 rupees for.
It didn't take very long to take this dip in.
I would just like to say on the record, meanwhile, Mystic is going to be doing Skull Woods, and this one, okay. Nope, it looks like he's going to do. This one might be costing him his froggy friend. Unless Skull Woods is a pendant, the smith will say toodaloo after this one. Which, to be fair, Mystic may not know. Some of these things are pretty arcane and you don't really learn them until you do them.
And our smith today, not in a great spot, kind of where the beef by the desert is, so
Oof.
not a great to have.
That's up there with the worst spots you can find. And yeah, on balance, this probably has about an 80% chance of being a crystal. We have, yeah, 80%. Because we have 5 unknowns and... Oh no, we don't. We have... Okay, 67%. Yeah, we had 3. And Mystic will be saying farewell to his froggy friend here.
Bye, frog.
As you can pause and put on the Sarah McLachlan song of your choice right now. I, for one, will always choose In the Arms of the Angel.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, that's the only one I really know from Sarah McLachlan.
Same. And Mystic avoids what I have done in a couple of ladder races, and it does remember to go back for the bridge chest in Skullwoods. Awkward. And we'll finish his full clear of Skullwoods with a heart piece, as Dr. Marty finishes his 4 of 6 of Eastern Palace with the nothing that we knew was there.
I wonder if Mystic is gonna make a play to Turtle Rock, because I think we've only seen one TR entrance so far, and it's here in Kakariko.
Which one did we see? That was before I got here.
We saw the one where you are immediately welcomed by a bunch of lasers to the face. So Turtle Rock left.
I think I would be more likely to be checking entrances and hoping I stumble onto Laser Bridge, or at least the right side.
I mean, he does have 3 small keys and the big key, so it's not unreasonable.
You're right, he does. But even so, I would probably, like...
Right.
I know if I Mystic here, I have A, pretty much everything I need except for the flute to get to every entrance in the game, and potentially either. But B, I also know that I'm looking for multiple crystal dungeons still. I'm still looking for the East Town, I'm still looking for Ice Palace, and I'm probably still looking for Misery Mire, or I'm 50% still looking for Misery Mire. And so that makes entrances a pretty good bet at this point. That would make me more inclined to do that than it would to chase Turtle Rock itself.
I don't think we've seen Misery Mire at all.
Neither of the runners has it marked.
Hey, it was just right there.
Well, something felt its nose burning, or ears burning, whatever the expression is. I think it's either you're sneezing or your ears are burning. But yep, that is Misery Mire in a pretty orphaned spot too, unfortunately for Mystic, because he did come here through a connector.
But we're gonna find out what's on Green Pendant. Clearly, this is gonna be the 300 rupees that are 100% required for the seed.
Wow, how did you know?
You know,
That was incredible.
I'm really good at this game sometimes.
I can tell.
Meanwhile, Misery Mire, let's see, we have 6 chests that we can get to, 2 of which are not in logic.
Yeah, always a play I feel pretty good about making Keys though. Mire, one of the dungeons that I'm probably most eager to dip, even without the ability to full clear, as long as I have a fire source.
Yeah, this is a long dungeon.
Yeah, this is not a particularly long dungeon. It's not a very linear dungeon, so it's not like you're doing stuff you have to go back through when you go to actually meet the boss. Mire's in the Dark Shopping Mall area, Star. Marty decides he does not want to deal with left side of Mire. Not usually, well, I guess he decides it more because he doesn't have a source of fire. Holy crap, I am a poet.
I applaud your poetry skills. I also forgot that Marty doesn't have a fire source. Wow.
Yeah, and that's actually, this is probably a dip I wouldn't make without a fire source. Certainly not without the ability to also, like usually 6 of 8 is about my threshold for wanting to dip into Misery Mire. This floating island is underwhelming, as it always is when you check it naturally on the course of your routing.
It's nice and easy to get to.
Yep, which is really nice, because having a easy connector to Dark Death Mountain is a really nice state.
And this time Mystic will be finishing off Eastern Palace.
Hopefully for our runners there's nothing particularly there. Dr. Barty's showing off a nice quick stair climb glitch, requiring the boots and the hook shot. If you've never seen it before, a little bit of a bread and butter trick. So Dr. Barty at this point I think really needs to find Sahasrar's hut and get the things there. Especially, well, really just needs to route to Catfish to get that fire rod.
Yeah, I think
But
that's...
Sahasrar's hut will put him on the road to that. Find one of the most pointless spiral caves I've ever seen again, that has 10 arrows and will let him out right next to where he follows. Yay, spiral cave is a good check.
It's never...
Of course, then you say that, and then you have that scene where you have to go through it 4 times because it's your only access to Dark World through Bumper Cave.
That's the grossest thing in the world.
I think the first Crosskey seed I ever played, I had to logically walk through Super Buddy Cave about 10 times. It was not fun.
The first Crosskey seed I ever played, I was doing co-op just to kind of learn, and my partner who generated the seed generated all dungeons instead of just a normal Crosskey seed.
I guess that is the really true case of oops all dungeons.
It was great because he dropped to Ganon. Ganon's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh shoot, we made it defeat Ganon." And so we defeated Ganon, or we defeated Aga too. And then we dropped down again. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh no, I made it all dungeons." And at that point, I'm like, "I don't remember where you said half these things were."
Oopsie doodle. As Marty is going to continue going on. Still no flute for our runners, which I suspect both runners would appreciate. I know I always appreciate having a flute as early as possible in this mode.
Sometimes flutes are nice, especially if in like there's like a bad way to Kakariko, but everything seems pretty okay.
Yeah, the transport in the seed, other than the flute, is pretty nice. Have a reasonably accessible mirror. Have boots that are basically unmissable once you find nice pallets.
Where was Ice Palace? Ice Palace was flute spot 5 in the Dark World. That's right. Most important compass. Alright, I suspect Marty here is gonna find Sahasrahla and take it over to Catfish to get their fire rod.
Let's hope so. That would be a very important find, and he is in the area. I worry that he's going to find his mitts and Eastern Big Key and just kind of bail out on it. But hopefully not. Mystic here are going to be able to do 6 out of 8 here. While Marty will be able to check out these entrances, which we have not seen yet. And one of them is a big prize, Thieves Town, which can be completed, albeit not logically.
Since it is a 5/6 crystal, it's very nice all the way. Oh, there's our other bow.
So I think that means the other bow was in fact accessible. Yeah, because we've seen nothing that has been bow locked so far. This also does mean that, to a degree, entrances are a little bit degraded, at least if you have the Crystal Pendant knowledge. Since we may not need to, like, we know we don't need to find Pod. That being said, I think we all know that Pod is going to have progression somewhere.
I have to find Pod first.
Although... I think our runners combined may actually be in go mode at this point.
Need to know if Mire or Swamp is our
Yes,
last crystal.
they may. If Swamp is the last crystal.
We haven't seen the Swamp Sword yet.
Oh, right, we haven't seen the Swamp Soul. That's a freaking item.
So we for sure need either the Swamp Small or the Mire Big.
Yeah, we are 1 item from go mode. We do not know which one. And it may actually be 2 if, or 3, depending on how stuff is locked.
Right.
It's early in the morning. My brain's not functioning. So we will see some new checks here from Mystic.
Yep, this is always something that could be a little muck-ass for Dr. Marty if we do find anything here. Because you really don't want to come back to Mire at this point if you're Marty until you have the big key. And, well, you've got the fire source now because you got the lamp.
Yeah, even so, I still don't want to go.
True.
To make a long list of things I'm doing before I go back to Mire without the big key. Let's see, in a second if left side mire is at all important. We might need flute, but I think only if we actually need an entrance from it for an item, because I believe we have found every dungeon item or every dungeon that matters, as that Cane of Burner is not going to be required. So left side of mire is a persona non gratis in this seed.
Yes, because
we don't have mire
exactly
area
what
yet,
that is.
but we do have access to every dungeon at this point that we need to beat. However, I would say it is more likely than not that mire area probably has something that the runners need. If not, actually, then at least launch is needed. It seems like the most likely spot for pod at this point, for instance. And pod is the biggest source of items left. With GT probably being in second place.
Yeah. I would say so. Although I don't think either runner has even touched any of Turtle Rock, because they both saw Turtle Rock very early. So I think Turtle Rock is actually untouched by
That's
both
a pretty
runners.
good play then, too. So that's 12 items there. We've got 14 items in pod, 12 items in Turtle Rock, and we should have 8 items left in GT that we haven't seen. Plus 1 for Lumberjack, I guess, to make it 9.
I think we would be, let's see, 4. I think there'd be 9, so 10 because we saw the big chest as well.
Oh yeah, we don't have the big chest. Yep, okay. Only 4 of those are actually even accessible right now, though.
Right.
And
Marty,
Marty
by the way,
is going to be showing off some entrance-only tech here.
This is the easiest bomb jump to ever pull off.
Oh, 100%. Super easy.
Because all you do is just line yourself up against the wall and then move over and place the bomb.
Don't even blame him for doing this. But... especially because he has such little crystal damage. Very optimistic. And does it first try, nice and clean. Mystic continues, is going to find Ice Palace here. Have we seen the top of the pyramid at all yet?
We have not. So
that's
there's
another
3
source of
entrances.
entrances that seems pretty potentially juicy.
I suspect Mystic is going to head in that direction. It's going to take a little time because they're going to find Ice Palace right here. But I think this is kind of, Mystic's end route here. Will be the 3 entrances on top of Hyrule Castle. Meanwhile, that is 3 crystals, 4 crystals. That's 4 crystals for Dr. Marty. Going to Sahashala, we'll be picking up the Eastern Palace Big Key, which is very important.
But hopefully will not be leaving, as the Fire Rod is equally important here.
And the mitts nearby are also a nice prize.
As we now allow Mystic to break the ice, if I may use a Mr. Freeze quote from the greatest / worst movie ever made.
I mean, I'm leaning towards greatest, but that's just me.
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is just an acting tour de force in that movie. The fact that he manages to say the lines his scriptwriters gave him without ending his own life is nothing short of miraculous. Right, we are having, but it looks like Marty knows that Swamp Palace is a crystal. So that will be the last crystal, with the last pendant coming in Misery Mire. So it sounds like the Swamp Big Key, or the Swamp Small Key, which should be the Swamp Big Key if you think about it, is in fact what we will be needing. No, don't hookshot Marty, no! Okay, apparently I wasn't specific enough. Apparently I wasn't specific enough. He didn't hookshot.
Oh.
On the other hand, this is a good source of entrances to have. And hopefully Marty will just turn back around after this.
Not quite. Little too close there. I was just gonna turn. Are you not even checking the other? Didn't even. Oh, there you go. It was like you got Mimic Cave. Watch this be pod. Oh. Almost.
And Marty's going to continue to systematically dodge that fire rod. It's going to be pretty brutal for him. Meanwhile, Mystic is going to find those boots. I would be lying if I said I was paying any attention at all to bottle percentage. There's a long list of things I do not care about, and that's way up there.
Do I have a bottle? Good. Can I check Sickid? Wonderful. That's all I need to know. Crystal number 4 for Mystic.
Yep, and Marty is on his way to
boots.
crystal number 5.
With those boots, does have access to Thieves Town and crystal number 5. Can do crystal number 6 at their own desire, just haven't yet been to any part of Turtle Rock.
Sorry, I'm busy trying to get myself timed out from ZSR.
That's impressive considering you're currently commentating on ZSR.
Well, you know what? Apparently some things they can't forgive. Has Mystic not done the eastern area at all yet? Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently not. So I'm probably missing the boat here, but what is Greg?
Greg stands for Green Rupee of Eternal Glory, i.e. the single rupee that drops an Ocarina of Time. It is an incredibly forced meme that makes me want to claw my eyes out every time I see people talking about it.
Considering I am not an Ocarina of Time randomizer kind of guy, it makes sense that I don't know that.
And on the record, if I see you making Greg memes, I am going to judge you. That's not to Wallcakes, that is to literally anybody. Know that I, Allison, am judging you anytime you say that. As Mystic shows off some fast stair descent as well. Nice little tech there. but doesn't let go of his sword fast enough, so he doesn't get the spin speed off of it as well. Basically, all you need to understand is with that comment, I basically declared war on ZSR.
That's fair. Validation got renamed in the first place because people who were new to the game thought that you had to open that chest to validate your run to make it official, and then people start. You know what? I'm not going to talk about it.
The point is, if you have to force your memes to make people find them funny, you probably should just let them go.
That's true. A map check by Dr. Marty does confirm that Swamp is our last crystal, so we are looking for the Swamp Small Key. To be fair, that's all Mystic actually needs, and I think that's all...
I would say Marty needs the Fire Rod.
Marty still needs Fire Rod, but Mystic still needs just that Swamp Small Key, and still needs to find Thieves Town. Well, that's Palace of Darkness. This is a full clearable Palace of Darkness.
No, this is going to be real rough if this doesn't have anything in it. But I do suspect it's probably the most likely source of progression here. As Marty decides to make the play to Turtle Rod. Unfortunately, still lacking his Fire Rod. Which, unfortunately, Mario is in another sushi hut.
I think for Marty's sake, you almost don't want to see a Swamp Small Key in here.
That would be pretty brutal. Yeah, I think Marty really wants that Fire Rod to lock his Swamp Small. Unfortunately, the Fire Rod isn't gonna lock Palace of Darkness for him. But you would argue that maybe he should check Catfish before he checks these entrances anyway, so that might, routing-wise, might lock him, even if it's not logically locked.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. That book, though, locked behind all 4 Turtle Rock Small Keys.
Of which we are, which Marty is still missing. 2, I think, or 1. I think he has. Our tracker says 2, but his key count to me says he has found 3.
He should have 3. They were all in pretty easily accessible locations, and I know he's been to all of the areas where the small keys are. Well, I missed. I didn't look to see what that was.
I think it's a big fat nothing so far for both of these runners. And Mystic, apparently not comfortable with the hammer jump, is going to open the door here. Which does mean he actually doesn't have enough small keys to complete the dungeon. Which may be a blessing in disguise if Bulbasaur doesn't have anything.
I mean, knowing Pod is a pendant, yeah, I mean, I still wouldn't waste that 5th key, but I get why Mystic is doing it. Oh, baby. castle tower small.
And we do know that this area is one small key away from being in logic. Like, the lamp is out there, findable.
Ew, the ether medallion.
That, I guess, could be important.
Oh, Mystic is choosing not to open the front door, so we'll have enough small keys if they choose to kind of take this right route a couple of times. I did not know the first time.
Don't do this. But let me just beg you, to anyone who is a new Crosskeys runner, don't do this. It's not worth it. It takes so much time. I think I literally have never been punished for opening the front door.
Well, I think Mystic choosing the route that they chose for Pod, kind of requires them to do the right side several times.
I would just skip Helmasaur. I would much rather skip Helmasaur over doing the right side 3 times.
That's fair. There's the back of Turtle Rock.
Well,
So-
that's not the connector to the Myra area that Marty was hoping for.
So our Turtle Rock entrances are fairly inaccessible at the moment, because
Yeah, it's
Turtle Rock front was
pretty
on the right
nasty.
side of that route.
And we still do not have a Turtle Rock right, which of course is required for the big chest. Mystic getting the full news about the crystal and pendant layout. Unfortunately, Pod is not the play for him. And decides not to kill Helmasaur while he's here?
A little surprising considering how they routed Pod.
You know, my last Crosskey seat, I think I had a red rupee in the library in that exact entrance.
What you're saying is you've played the seat before.
Look, ask me no questions and I will tell you no lies. This is the magic bat spot since yeah, this has gotta be magic bat.
Powder was behind Ice Armos.
Yes. I believe it was the only thing from the sort of end of the left side of GT.
Yes.
Unfortunately, is not the play.
So are we still looking? I mean, I obviously we're looking for just the Swamp Swanky, but like, what all do we have left? We still haven't done right side GT.
So we have right side GT, we have Helmasaur, we have Trinex, I guess? And the rest of the right side of Turtle, or the rest of the end of Turtle Rock.
Yep.
Fire Road's on Catfish, Hull City. I think we've seen every major item cave. I don't think we've seen purple chests. I don't even
I've
think we've
not
seen
seen
Smiths.
No, Mystic did pick up the Smith.
Oh, he did
item.
actually go back? Okay, never mind. Though.
Yeah.
He did see Smiths. Oh, and we knew that wasn't the key, but that's going to get Marty excited and then sad really quickly.
Mystic is going to check for Chef Swamp Palace. We know that's not the play yet.
That'd be a terrible play, or that would be a terrible place, but... Eh. Say Mystic is going to be going back to GT. I say Mystic does need to find Thieves Town as well, but
Yes.
we know he has the tools to find Thieves Town. He may not know he has the tools to find Thieves Town.
Hopefully Marty continues the path that they're on and takes us over to Catfish. I think that's kind of where he's headed.
Yup. And I guess the good news for him is that Fire Act doesn't lock all that much. So if he's sort of down to his later locations, he's probably going to be following up on these Fire Rod things relatively quickly, unless he goes to Pyramid instead, in which case he will end up at Pod, which, unless Helmasaur is the answer, we know is not the answer. And Helmasaur being the answer is pretty terrible.
I say it's really gross.
Alright, and I'm going to say Helmasaur is probably not the answer. With the infamous XX Cat Lover 69XX, aka Lin Lin Lin, finishing the seed.
Absolutely destroying the seed.
And Marty pulls his Fire Rod. Lin, trying to gatekeep people's scores to keep his seed up, I think has succeeded in that mission today. Keeping poor Wall Kicks out of the top 3, who isn't even in this race.
Oh, we got a big key to Misery. Oh, lovely. And the food.
And there's... okay. Yes, we still need a Swamp Small. The flute does open up the entirety of the Misery Mire area. I think we've seen all of the desert area via connectors.
Yes. We've seen all the desert area. Minus the desert main entrance, because we've only just recently picked up that book.
That's correct. So Marty now simply needing to find that Swamp Small key. Mystic, on the other hand, needs to find the Swamp Small key and bonk those rocks outside of Vanilla Sanctuary. But Marty is choosing to kill Trinex, a play I pretty wholeheartedly endorse. Gets some unlucky RNG on the pokey hopping, but manages to clear it off with 2 spins.
Honestly, Incoherent, I'm probably not even looking at the race room at an hour and 45.
I don't try to metagame from Crosskeys Incoherent. The only metagame I'll maybe do is on whether I know people key steal or not, but even then I'm probably not going to metagame. Like, good runners in this mode are way too flexible to try to metagame. Marty with the...
Oh, that's
Did
where
he go
I
to
left
Laser
it.
Bridge? He must have gone to Laser Bridge. Okay, never mind. This is not a big brain play. Ignore me. Oh, he didn't have the Fire Rod before. Okay. This now makes more sense.
There's supposed to be 6 crystals for Dr. Marty. Mystic, you're gonna want to go back in.
Is he gonna want to go back in? Is he really?
I mean, that 6 spots monkey is not great.
Like I said, is he gonna want to go back in? Is he?
Can't take it back now, unfortunately.
We can probably roll up head, but a time like this probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be stunned with a time like this in the pet seed. Let's say, and Mystic, who has not been spat out here, is checking this entrance. And does find Laser Bridge, which will be nice for him because he can now just kill Trinex.
Did he do everything else in the Mire area? I mean, I would hope maybe, you know, finish checking the Mire area.
I wouldn't.
Oh,
I actually would just.
Hera,
I would just kill the boss.
and then just swoop back.
Yep, it's so easy to get back to. There's no reason for me to like. You're going to incur 2 extra mirror transitions anyway. If you do that, you may as well just flip back and kill the boss. Especially because there is the possibility that the Swamp Small Key is just on Trinex. As we wave hello to Dr. Bob's raid of 6 people. Thanks for stopping by, Bob. And Marty is making the play to GT, so if this flute is the thing that's required, or the Mire Big Key, Marty will pick it up pretty soon. As Mystic reduces him to Mono Nex instead of Trinex. And will shortly be on his way to a 6th crystal. Or 5th crystal, I guess, because he still needs Red Thieves 10. Unex? Nah, I prefer Monex. What could have been, if only Misery Mire were the last crystal.
Right?
Marty is making sure that he has some GT climb insurance and picks up the key. Unex.
I like solo Nex. Solo Nex was a good one.
Well, we know the front of Turtle Rock is not the play. The only thing really left in Turtle Rock is the big chest, but we can't access that through any of the entrances we found so far.
Where did Marty pick up that shovel? I have no idea.
No idea, but I would be happier not to have it, given its payout.
True.
Not a lot is left at this point, Din. We've got the stuff locked by the Misery Mire Big Key. We've got the GT Tower climb, but that would require the GT Big Key to show up, as well as the GT Big Chest. We've got
Hera basement.
So we got a Hera basement. We've got Helmasaur. We do have Pedestal. Friday, I'm actually going to start using that if somebody has a nice Trinex fight. I think I've ever come to Chomp Chest once this way in Crosskeys. Ah, well, there is the shovel.
Easy.
as Marty is going to set himself up to do smiths. Perhaps he's going to do this as part of checking the mire area, I would suspect. That would kind of route it nice and efficiently here.
So where do you think the Swamp Small is?
Given Lynn's time, I would probably eliminate Helmasaur.
I would too.
I would suspect either the Turtle Rock Big Chest is just sitting somewhere, it's on one of the tablets, or it is Big Key locked by Meyer. And the flute is just a giant chase down.
I was thinking maybe Purple Chest.
It's a possibility too, but it doesn't seem a high priority play to me when the flute shows up that late.
True.
And Marty will be checking the mire area now, and unlike Mystic, will not get drawn off by finding Laser Bridge, as he has already been there. And thankfully, that Quake will not matter either. As I mentioned, it is early in the morning, being a balmy 12 p.m. right now. So I
Early
apologize
morning.
for that yawn.
12 p.m. early morning times. Heck yes.
Nah, I don't drink coffee. I really don't like the smell of it.
I like the smell, but I can't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. Hey, look, it's Turtle Rock
Oh,
Ride.
hey, it's the Turtle Rock. Yep. Oh, and there
my
it is.
Goodness.
As we hit basic simultaneous go mode. And that little laser bridge distraction is going to upset Mystic quite a bit. He was right here. Dr. Marty in go mode now. And is probably going to be a little bit faster here, given that he does not have to find Thieves Town and beat Thieves Town. Mystic, meanwhile, not actually hitting go mode because he still needs to find the Thieves Town entrance, although he does know that he has all the tools required to go into Thieves Town at this point, or to find Thieves Town, since every entrance of the game is accessible from the tools he has.
So hopefully Mystic knows just to go mode this dungeon.
I'll say hopefully. We'll see if the bomb comes out. No, looks like he's just going. Good man, Mystic.
Thieves Town is up Bonk Rocks today.
I'll say, if it weren't for Thieves Town, this would be neck and neck.
Yep.
But since it's not, Marty has a little bit of an advantage here. I'll say Mystic has to be kind of kicking himself, though, over his leaving of GT without doing right side. It would put him in a really nice spot, since he's basically been that Swamp Smoky for go mode since before Marty even had Fire Rod. As Marty heads underwater and dives himself right down. Both runners men after my own heart, using bomb setups instead of Samaria setups. They're superior, don't at me.
I agree, they're superior if you're able to get them.
Mystic probably opening up hoping for silver arrows, but
I don't mind. I mean, you're right there. I don't know.
I'd check those 3 chests. I don't check any of the other ones, but I'd check those 3. They're free.
Right. Now, I don't know if once Mystic finds Thieves Town, if he maybe does some checks in Thieves Town, knowing that, hey, that's full go mode. But if he were...
so he's probably going to want to, but... As Marty comes up with the 7th crystal. As Lynn, mind-bogglingly, is still the only finisher in the race.
Yeah.
158 mark.
15 minutes since Lynn finished. Still no one in 2nd place.
And yeah, I suspect Mystic will both miss the silver arrows and the lamp in Thieves Town, because both of them are pretty out of the way for go moding. As Marty drops into the Ganon's fight. Yeah, I think Lynn might have, if he had actually played in this one, might have broken a 1200 on here. As Marty is very much in the conversation for 2nd place in this race if nobody finishes while he's in this Ganon fight. Marty, when you rewatch the VOD, you can just stand at the corner in that position. You don't need to be above Ganon, it's faster. Not that it really matters as long as you get the 1 cycle.
Mystic is going right to Thieves Town, so good on Mystic.
Yeah, Mystic's gonna hit go mode right here. Spoiler alert, guys, apparently Marty beats the boss. I didn't say it on this attempt. I just said he beats the boss at some point.
Like right there.
Like right there. And Marty's looking like he might take 2nd place in this race, as we still are sitting with only 1 finisher.
Pepe
And
hands.
A0 comes in and snipes it 2 seconds before the finish, but is still going to finish in 3rd place with a very, very nice time of 2 hours and 35 seconds. Oh, that's rough. Meanwhile, Mystic is making his way through Thieves Town.
I mean, 3rd place is really a great time. And I mean, anytime you basically get a 2-hour Crosskeys, you're feeling good about yourself. I believe we'll get Dr. Marty in for an interview.
Although Marty is in chat right now, he declined to join for the interview because he had still some stuff to do.
GG's, Marty.
Yep, and it looks like Marty is also around in chat a little bit, so if people have things they want to say to him, that would be a good time. But yeah, GG's, nice time, man. As Mystic's gonna close out his run here as well, opens the 2 chests in Thieves Town, and does not pull silver arrows of the lamp, unfortunately for him. Mystic is going to pick up that 7th crystal of his. And we'll probably head to Roast a Pig here. Unless he really feels like doing another Pendant Dungeon. Taking a quick inventory of his potions to make sure he's got something for safety here. And is going to drop into the Ganon fight.
This will be slightly longer as Mystic did not pick up the silver arrows in Thieves Town.
Yep. Mystic going for NMG strats here. A little slow on it, doesn't look like he's gonna pop and get the 1-1, but that's alright. But is gonna get the nice spot here to just get the free double spins. As we're already getting to see what corner strats look like.
Hey, he's still got the 1 cycle phase 2, so no big deal there.
He did. Let's say, and Mystic's gonna hope for the torch glitch here. Because this fight is significantly more annoying without slivers if you miss torch glitch. And there's Farimi coming in with a 4th place time. Farimi currently sitting, I believe, in the 6th place spot overall. Mystic does get that nice little torch glitch he's looking for. Manages to hit Ganon in the middle of his teleport. Not sure a thing I've ever actually seen.
EP Big Key was in the back of Sahasra Sutton.
Say, welcome from Andy's chat, Step Lively. This Plasma Kappa takes 5th place for the time of 2:05:38. I had Andy's stream open, so I knew he missed the Eastern Palace Big Key. So I'm just assuming.
Pepe hands.
He did, however, find the GT Big Key, which is equally unfortunate.
Right.
And here comes Mystic looking to get the 6th place finish in this race.
Dare I ask where that GT Big Key was?
And here comes and there's another snipe! No! And that's Mystic finishing in 7th place.
Stop with these snipes, man.
6:27.
And
we are now joined by him. Hi, Mystic. GG's.
A lot of snipes today. GG.
That's a little bit of a rough ending. Yeah, GG's. I know you were a little nervous about coming on the stream for qualifiers, but I think you had a really nice seat for yourself.
Yeah, that's a 30-minute PB.
Well,
Congrats.
it's a good time to pick it.
Yeah, and it's my 5th one, so it doesn't even matter.
That's a little unlucky. But even so, that's got to be a nice boost of confidence.
It was.
So I remember my sort of first sub 2, and it was a very, very nice feeling for me to be like, oh, I can do this. Nice.
Oh man, I skip. If I don't dip Mire and I find those silvers, I probably sub 2 that no problem.
Yep. I'll say, and I mean, even more than it, I think the thing that probably cost you the most was leaving GT and not doing right side when you got the cane on left side, because then you would have had that flute right away.
Yeah, I'm running back across Dark. I'm like, oh yeah, I had the cane when I was there. I should probably go back.
Yeah, that's a little rough, as you can now sort of see all the finishes that have come in as we kind of drop the 15-minute spoiler facade. So we're up to, I want to say, 14 finishers right now, with 3 runners still running and 3 forfeits. I can understand forfeits in the seed. This is a really, really bad seed if you happen to find a couple of items that just take you way out of the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a 30-minute PB is nothing to hold your nose up at. I'm assuming you feel pretty good about this seed then, if that's the case.
I feel pretty good. I just kind of was like, I'll just do things and see what happens. I was joining it more for the practice because I was sitting at 65, so if anybody dropped or a few people had some last-minute third bad races or something, I still am kind of in the running.
Yep, and there are people in front of you who haven't finished 3 races yet.
Yeah.
In fact, there are people who finished
kinda,
1 race in front of you.
I was just kind of
so would have to do.
Yeah, I figure I'll do it for the practice. If I get in, I get in. If not, oh well. I mean,
yeah.
last year's I was like the first time I really did cross keys, and I finished. I was like 100 when they let everybody in. I was like 100 and something. So it's like, hey,
that's my goal. Nice
top
improvement.
64. Yeah.
And I think that's a very, very healthy attitude to have about this.
Definitely.
And I mean, I think the fact that you put up a 206, and if you're gonna get in and you're throwing up 206s, I mean that's scary for some of the top seeds.
Don't get your hopes up to see more of those.
You never know. One day it just clicks, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get this mode now, and then you're gonna be throwing up 206s all the time. You're gonna average 206.
Yeah, and in typical cross keys fashion, I found EP, dipped it, and then went to check that desert big chest, and oh look, the bow.
Yeah, that was a rough one to see.
Yeah.
And Marty did the same thing, except he didn't have the Eastern Big Key because he hadn't gone to Sahasrara. And even worse for my watching is I saw him walk into it, walk out, and then do a couple of checks and immediately go back. And I'm like, no! It's not there!
Yeah, but it was fun. Definitely was a fun one.
Say, Lynn putting up probably the best score I ever remember seeing in a qualifier.
Yeah, that's my other thing. I'm sitting here at the, on the bubble, and I'm like, man, if I get in, I get Lynn or somebody. It's like, okay, well, at least I got in.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you lose to Lynn, like there's loser brackets, match in the brackets, so there's more matches that are maybe against a little bit easier opponents. Or maybe Lynn will have a deadly allergy attack in the middle of the race. You never know.
Wouldn't wish that on Lynn.
No, I wouldn't. Never wish that on anybody.
I would definitely not wish that on Lynn. I would only wish that on XX Cat Lover 69XX. Who is definitely not Lynn on the Crosskeys ladder. Do you have any sort of overarching thoughts about the seed other than, I'm really happy for you that you came on Restream, and I know you're nervous, and I've said this before, but I'm really happy to see people do that and then also turn in a very, very good time for themselves. It's a really, really good feeling. And as someone who's played a lot more of this mode, it's just nice to see more people getting their feet wet and getting more comfortable with the mode that is very, very challenging, especially at first.
Oh yeah. I mean, my very first cross keys ever was in the league last season, and it was a 4-hour one. So, a lot of improvement over a year, definitely. But thoughts on the seed? Not really. I just kind of just stumbled into the right direction. That's how I feel it goes in cross keys. Is I just stumble on the right things, and it kind of goes the right direction. Stumble on the wrong things, and you're 3 hours in.
I think more than anything else, the people who really consistently do well in this mode have figured out how to stumble in as efficiently of a manner as possible. But sometimes when your stumbling just happens to connect well, you can get some really, really nice times in this mode.
Yeah, I think finding Death Mountain early definitely helped organize some things.
That was a really, really nice connector in Hookshot Cave that can be kind of annoying to follow, but in this case rewarded you with a Tower of Hera spit out that is very, very useful to have.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the commentary. Thanks for the restream, and good luck to everybody else in the rest of the qualifiers.
Thanks for stopping by, Mystic. GG's. So for those of you who are enjoying this, we've got 2 qualifiers left in the tournament. We have me stalling for time as I pull up the schedule. We have them literally 11 hours apart. One of them is showing on the schedule as Saturday, but is really the Friday West Coast late nighters race, coming in at 1 a.m. Eastern time or 10 p.m. Pacific time, or, you know, doing quick math, 7 a.m. if you are in Europe, or 6 a.m. if you're in England. See, I know time zones. And if that's not your speed, 11 hours later there's going to be another qualifier, and it will be the final qualifier, number 16, at noon Eastern time on June 13th. And after that, the field of 64 will be set, and you will start seeing the 1v1 matches that have bracket play ramifications on them. I don't know if Siberian, if you have anything on ZSR that you want to promote, as we have a 13th finisher coming in 15 minutes ago. We're up to 15 finishers in real time, and still 2 runners left.
The only thing I have to announce for ZSR is the upcoming race of the Wind Waker Randomizer bi-weekly fun race in about half an hour on ZSR2. And tomorrow we have no restreams. Then the mentioned qualifier races. At least if I look on the CEST schedule. But the next race after this and before the qualifier is the Ocarina of Time GSR tournament match. With a round 2 matches between Valiant and Lake.
Those are some fun runs to watch too. Lots of cool tech going on in GSR.
I'm a bit not sure what GSR is. Ganondorf source requirement. So it's quite more likely something like any % with finding items. If anyone in chat knows better, feel free to correct me.
I'm just gonna hope this command exists. No, unlucky.
And with everything said so far, thank you Allison and Wallkicks for commentating, and also thank you Star and Norinato for tracking.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks of course to the runners for running as... Oh, oops, Star just beat me to that.
Of course, them as
obviously
well.
Without the runners we don't have anything to show, unless you guys really like my stand-up comedy, which nobody does. So with that, I think we can say goodbye.
Yeah, with that, goodbye and see you next time.